Who is responsible for employee training and development? By the end of this video, you're going to find out how detrimental it is to have a lack of training in your business. You'll also learn who's in charge of training. And I'm going to give you 2 strategies to train from things, frankly, that are already lying around the house of your business that you can train on. You don't have to go outside to find these things. When you point fingers around this idea of they've not been trained and they've not been trained, all it does is hurt the business. I had an African proverb that said, 2 elephants that get in a fight, the only thing that gets ruined is the ground underneath. You know that you need to develop your team, but do you know who needs to be the one to do it? You know, we've got to ask the question, why is employee development and training so important? Well, here's the reality. Without it, it's sort of every man or woman for himself. Each is doing what's right in his or her own eyes at that point. We're just kind of winging it as we go. And so you're basing my productivity based on my experience and not based on the process that you've built in the business. I heard this activity that was recently given at a builders conference. And a guy shows up with little Ziploc bags of Lego bricks. In it's about 6, 7, 8 Lego bricks for everyone. Everyone's got the same set of Legos. And he says, I want you to take 2 minutes and I want you to build a duck. And so these grown adults, these contractor owners, just like you, are building these ducks. And so they're building a duck. 2 minutes later, everybody comes and put their ducks on the table. All of the ducks are built differently, every single one of them. He then gives them a sheet of paper with a step-by-step process on how to build a duck. He gives them, instead of 2 minutes, 45 seconds, about a third of the time, and he says, I want everybody to go build a duck. They all go build the duck, put it in the center of the table. Everybody's duck looks exactly the same. Why? Training and development. There's value in being able to capture the things that you do from a process standpoint. Remember this, your product is not your product. The process via which you fulfill your product is the product that you're selling. Your process is your product, but if your process has not been downloaded from your brain, from your mind, down to some captured format, then it's every person for themselves. And we're just going to eat, drink, and be merry for tomorrow we die, and I hope it all works out. You don't want to run a business that way. You want to have something that's repetitive, predictable, and meaningful. That's a culture that others will be invited to want to come in and do hard things. We live in this culture right now where we say nobody wants to work anymore. It's not that they don't want to work anymore. They just don't want to work for you because you're chaotic. You don't have these processes. Now, of course, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the person who's watching this video next to you, but you get my point. So ultimately, ask the question, who's in charge? Well, it's complicated, like most answers to most questions. Number 1, you. If you own the business, you are what we call the CTO, or the Chief Training Officer of the business. Now, does that mean you need to spend 8 hours a day in training and development programs and all that stuff going around and round and round? No, not necessarily. But what it means is you are the single point of accountability to ensuring that training is getting done in your business. But we only have 2 or 3 people. Perfect. That's a great time to start. That means that once you have 10 or 20 or 50 people, you will be setting the stage for a culture of training and development. So, who's responsible for it? Number 1, you. The second person responsible for training is me, the employee that's in the business, the person that's doing the thing. We have something that we call the systems mindset, and it says this, whatever the next thing it is you're about to do, I want you to capture it like it's the last time you'll ever do it. Therefore, if I'm running marketing, or if I'm a marketing tech, or if I'm doing bookkeeping, or whatever I might be doing, I, in that role, am responsible for capturing the processes of that role, so it creates redundancy. What happens to the role if something happens to me? So I've created that redundancy. And if I want to move into a different part of the business eventually, then I've got to train somebody else on that role. But you know what we get in the myth of? Well, it's nobody can do it like I can do it. Yeah, because you've never trained them to do it. In fact, you're scared that they're going to be able to do it better than you. And so a lot of times that keeps us from actually processing out the things that we need to process. So if you are the key point of person in charge, and then I'm second in command of making sure that we have all that, the third person to make sure we have good employee training and development is all the other employees. So I want to, as an employee or as an owner, set a great model for all the other team to create this culture to where we're constantly capturing, through the systems mindset, a variety of these things, and we're able to display that out. So we've got great repetition, predictability, and meaning through the training that we're doing. Now there's an added 4th group of people that are responsible for training and development. You know who they are? Your clients, your customers. because they're going to give you the greatest feedback on their experience. Every business has a client experience process, whether it's written down or not. Some of it's haphazard, some of it's very intentional. When you go to Disney World, you're going to get a very intentional, very repetitive experience. Some of the best examples of this actually in the fast food industry. If you go to Chick-fil-A, you're going to get a highly repetitive experience that ends with my pleasure. If you go to Taco Bell, you're just going to hope to get something that doesn't put you in the hospital. And so the reality is the process, the repetition of that process. In fact, if you want to put it in the comments, one of the worst experiences you've had with fast food and one of the best experiences you've had with fast food, you'll start to see how you can feel and experience that idea, because you'll realize that one has documented process that trains over and over again, and the other just wings it with 150% turnover and getting new people every 3 to 4 months. But I want to say this, I want to be very upfront. Remember, we're coaches and advisors. We're not here just to give you a hug. We got to push a little bit. Ultimately, the responsibility for training and development of your business falls on you, the business owner. You've got to take ownership of that. Now, I've got another great video that you're going to be able to walk through that will show you how to develop a training and development program. So make sure you click on that link and go watch that video and take action. I also want to give you an action item right here that I think will be super helpful. Now, I'm a scratch sheet of paper kind of guy. I like a pen and a sheet of paper. So go ahead and pull one out. If you want a spreadsheet, that's great. I want you to turn it over and I want you to write down 4 categories: marketing, sales, operations, and administration. And in those 4 categories, I want you to set a timer on your phone for 5 minutes. And in that 5 minutes, on those 4 categories, I want you to do a brain dump of every process that currently exists in those 4 categories that just come off the top of your head. You don't have to map out the process. Just write the title of that process. And by the end of it, you will have magically created the first ever training outline for your business. And you'll be taking responsibility as the business owner for the training and development of your team. Can I give you a little hack? We all like hacks. We like things that we like to be able to pull out. If you have a handbook, an employee handbook in your business, you actually already have a pretty robust training program. You're just not doing anything with it. Because if I came into your office, I'd see it on the dusty shelf over there. It hadn't been touched in 3 years. But the reality is, take your employee handbook, break it down by all the sections that are in there, and then teach on 1 section per week. It'll take you about 2 minutes. Do it in the team meetings, and if you do that, you will have trained through your entire handbook at least once or twice a year. We actually train through our handbook 2 times a year. So it takes us about the first 25, 26 weeks to get through our handbook 1 time with each one of the sections, because we do a couple at a time. And then we just rinse and repeat. We copy and paste, and we put it back on the back end of that. So we go through our handbook, and we teach on things like PTO, how to use the business credit card. Those are all the things, quite frankly, as business owners that really frustrate you when people come and ask you about that. So instead, we decided to get ahead of it and proactively train. So a little hack, if you've got a handbook, you can start just training the handbook week after week. And if you don't, super easy to start building one. All you need to do is every time you get frustrated, when somebody asks you a question, write it down on a document and call it a handbook. So this video is all about action. Now remember, I want you to go watch that video that I put about how to develop a new training and development program. I think it'll really be valuable for you. My name is Scott Beebe. We work with business owners between 3 and 100 employees to build their purpose, people, process, and profit. Why? So you can be liberated from chaos to make time for what matters most.